Imagine this. A hologram hums to life in the center of the Jedi Council chamber, its pale blue light washing over stone that has stood for thousands of years. The image is unstable, old but unmistakably clear. Anakin Skywalker stands beneath. The twin sons of Tatooine, his mechanical hand gently holding Padme Amidala's. They exchange vows in quiet voices. Away from the galaxy, away from the Order, no crowds, no ceremony. Just love. C-3PO fidgets nervously in the background. R2-D2 chirps softly. The Lars homestead watches in silence. Then the recording ends. The chamber feels colder somehow. 12 Jedi Masters sit in their familiar circle, yet none of them seem comfortable in it now. No one speaks. The only sound is the faint whir of the projector and the distant, endless noise of Coruscant far below. This footage, captured accidentally by a security droid during an unrelated investigation, undeniable. Anakin Skywalker has broken the code. Mace Windu's expression hardens first. His disappointment is controlled, but unmistakable. Yoda's ears droop, his ancient eyes heavy with sorrow rather than anger. Yadid looks genuinely shaken, while Shak Ti lowers her gaze, as if mourning something already lost. These walls have seen betrayals before. They've seen schisms, exiles, even wars. But this feels different. This isn't ambition. This isn't ideology. This is Lavan defiance. Skywalker Mace finally says, his voice calm but cutting, "You have violated the core principles of the Jedi Order. A secret marriage, forbidden attachment. Months of deception. These are not small mistakes. They strike at the heart of who we are." Anakin doesn't flinch. He stands straight, shoulders tense, eyes burning with a resolve the Council hasn't seen before. The hopeful boy who once craved their approval is gone. In his place stands a man who has already made his choice. His mechanical fingers curl slowly, the soft whine of servos echoing in the silence. "I love her," he says. No anger, no apology, just truth. And I won't lie about it anymore, just to fit your rules. The words hit harder than any outburst could. Coleman Trebor shifts uneasily. Anakin. The code exists for a reason. It's guided the Jedi for over 25,000 years. Anakin exhales sharply, something breaking loose inside him. "Has it?" asks. "Then explain this war to me. Explain how all that wisdom turned us into generals leading an army of men who were bred to die. Tell me how this endless bloodshed makes us keepers of the peace." The Council exchanges uneasy glances. No one here is blind to the cost of the Clone Wars. Plo Koon speaks at last, carefully. "The war is a burden, yes, but a necessary one. We fight to protect the Republic, to defend those who cannot defend themselves." Anakin gestures toward the towering windows, toward the city stretching endlessly below. "Then look at it," he says. "Really look at the poverty, the corruption. The families destroyed while the Senate argues and delays. Tell me who we're protecting." Kiadamundi leans forward, patient but firm. "Suffering has always existed, Skywalker. The Jedi cannot erase all darkness. If we serve within the Republic, we do not rule it." Anakin lets out a quiet, bitter laugh. "Serve it," he repeats. "The same Republic that allows slavery in the Outer Rim, the same system that creates clone soldiers without choice, without freedom, asks us to command them as if that's justice." For the first time, the chamber doesn't feel like a place of wisdom. It feels like a fault line. And Anakin Skywalker is standing right on it. The mention of slavery strikes deep. Several council members know of Anakin's past on Tatooine. His mother's death at the hands of Tusken Raiders, his own decade of bondage before Qui-Gon Jinn freed him. Master Adigalia's expression softens slightly as she recognizes the pain behind his words. "Your experiences have given you a unique perspective on suffering," she acknowledges gently. "But they have also clouded your judgment. Personal pain cannot be allowed to override our duty to the greater good." "Greater good?" Anakin's voice cracks with emotion. "My mother died while I was here, learning to suppress my feelings, to ignore my attachments. I could have saved her if I hadn't been following your teachings about not forming connections. How is that the greater good? Yoda taps his Geimer stick against the stone floor, the sound echoing through the chamber like a judge's gavel. Win! He speaks. His ancient voice carries the weight of centuries of accumulated wisdom and sorrow. Led you astray? Your emotions have, young Skywalker. Difficult, the path of the Jedi is, but necessary. Our sacrifices are. Without discipline, without detachment, fall to the dark side we will. Seen it I have, too many times in my long life. I've seen what your detachment creates, Anakin counters, his voice growing stronger with conviction. Jedi who care more about following rules than helping people. Masters who would rather debate philosophy than take action against injustice, in order so afraid of feeling that it's forgotten how to truly serve. The accusation hangs in the air, like smoke from a battlefield. Several masters shift uncomfortably, recognizing uncomfortable truths in his words. The war has indeed forced many of them to question long-held beliefs, to make compromises they never thought they would accept. Master CC-Teen speaks for the first time, his alien features unreadable. Your passion is admirable, Skywalker, but passion without discipline leads to chaos. The Sith draw their power from unchecked emotion. Do you have us follow that path? I would have us follow our hearts as well as our minds, Anakin replies fiercely. The Force flows through all living things, through their loves and fears and hopes. How can we serve it properly while denying half of what makes us alive? Mace Windu rises from his seat, his imposing presence filling the chamber as he delivers. What amounts to an ultimatum? His voice carries the full authority of the Council, each word carefully chosen to emphasize the gravity of the moment. Enough philosophy. You have broken the code, Skywalker, and now you must face the consequences. The Council offers you two choices, and two choices only. He pauses, letting the weight of his words settle. You will publicly renounce this illegal marriage, undergo a ritual of detachment to sever all emotional bonds, and accept exile from Coruscant for 5 years to meditate on your failures under the guidance of Master Yoda on Dagobah. The first option hits Anakin like a physical blow, but Mace continues relentlessly. Or you will be formally expelled from the Jedi Order, stripped of your lightsaber and all privileges of rank. And Senator Amidala will be subjected to a memory modification to remove all traces of your relationship. The infection of attachment must be cleansed before it spreads to corrupt others. The words hit Anakin like a series of blaster bolts to the chest. His face goes pale, then flushed with rage as the full implications sink in. They're not just threatening to exile him. They're threatening to violate the mind of the woman he loves, to steal her memories and alter her very identity because they disapprove of their bond. You would violate her mind? His voice is barely controlled, each word dripping with outrage and disbelief. You would rape her thoughts, steal her memories, destroy who she is because you disapprove of our love. Attachment is forbidden, Kadamity states coldly, his Syrian features showing no trace of sympathy. The infection must be cleansed before it spreads to others. Senator Amidala's continued presence in your life represents a clear and present danger to your development as a Jedi and potentially to the Order itself. She's not an infection. Cone's voice echoes off the chamber walls, raw with anguish. She's the best person I've ever known. She fights for justice every day in the Senate, stands up for the oppressed, works to end this war through diplomacy. If anyone embodies Jedi ideals, it's her, not you. Shakti leans forward, her voice gentler than the others, but no less firm. Anakin, you must understand that we take no pleasure in this choice. But the dark side feeds on attachment, on the fear of loss. If your marriage makes you vulnerable to manipulation, to corruption, we've seen what happens when Jedi allow their emotions to rule them. Have you? Anakin's laugh is harsh, bitter, because from where I stand, it looks like fear is already ruling this council. You're so afraid of feeling, so terrified of attachment, that you've become the very thing you claim to oppose. You've let fear drive you to consider mind rape as a viable solution to your problems? Something fundamental shifts in the chamber's atmosphere. The Masters sense it first. a tremor in the Force that speaks of approaching storm. Anakin's hand moves to his lightsaber hilt, not in threat, but as a gesture of finality, of a decision made. "No," he says quietly, then louder, his voice carrying across the chamber with absolute conviction. "No, I won't let you touch her. I won't let you dictate who I can love, what I can feel, or how I choose to serve the Force. If this is what the Jedi Order has become, then I want no part of it." "Skywalker," Mace warns, his own hand moving toward his weapon as he senses the dangerous shift in the young man's demeanor. "Do not make this worse than it already is. Stand down and accept the Council's judgment." But Anakin's lightsaber is already in his hand, its blue blade igniting with a snap hiss that seems to echo like thunder in the enclosed space. The weapon's glow casts dancing shadows on the walls, ancient murals depicting Jedi heroes seeming to come alive in the flickering light. "It's already as bad as it can get," he says, his voice now deadly calm.
Get up.
"You claim to serve the light, but all I see is darkness. The darkness of dogma, of blind obedience, of hearts turned to stone by centuries of rigid doctrine. You've forgotten what it means to be human." The other council members rise as one, their own weapons humming to life in a symphony of colored light. The chamber fills with the glow of multiple lightsabers, purple, green, blue, yellow. For the first time in over 1,000 years, Jedi face Jedi in the sacred halls of their temple, weapons drawn in anger rather than training. "Stand down, Anakin." Obi-Wan pleads from across the circle, his voice heavy with sorrow and desperation. The man who trained him from a boy who fought beside him through countless battles now stands with weapon ready to strike him down. "Please, my former Padawan, don't force us to do this. There has to be another way." Anakin's eyes meet his former master's across the circle, and for a moment, profound pain flickers across his youthful features. Of all the betrayals this day, has brought Obi-Wan's allegiance to the Council cuts deepest. The man who taught him to question, to think independently, now stands ready to enforce the very dogma they once privately criticized. "I'm sorry, Obi-Wan," Anakin says, genuine regret coloring his voice. "You taught me to stand up for what's right, to question authority when it becomes corrupt. I'm doing exactly what you taught me to do. But someone has to stand up to this tyranny, and if it means standing alone, so be it." The battle erupts in an instant of chaos and violence. Anakin moves like lightning given form, his blade a blue blur as he parries simultaneous strikes from multiple opponents. Years of combat experience in the Clone Wars have honed his reflexes to superhuman levels, and his connection to the Force burns brighter than ever before. Fed by righteous anger and desperate love, he uses the Force to hurl the heavy stone chairs around the chamber's perimeter, creating obstacles and distractions as he fights his way toward the great windows. Master Fisto's aquamarine blade nearly takes his head, missing by mere centimeters as Anakin drops into a forward roll and comes up swinging. His counterstrike forces the Nautilone to leap backward, right into the path of a flying meditation stool. Kia Diamondi approaches from his left flank. His lightsaber technique precise and measured, each strike calculated to disable rather than kill. But Anakin's combat style has evolved far beyond anything his instructors remember from his Padawan days. The Clone Wars have taught him that sometimes survival requires abandoning classical forms in favor of brutal efficiency. Their blades meet in a shower of sparks, and for a moment they're locked in a contest of strength and will. The Syrian Master's eyes widen as he realizes just how much power Anakin can channel through the Force when properly motivated. With a surge of telekinetic energy, Anakin breaks the blade lock and sends Ki-Adi-Mundi stumbling backward into Master. Galia, Mace Windu, presses forward from across the chamber, his vapid technique turning Anakin's own aggression against him in a deadly feedback loop. Their purple and blue blades weave complex patterns in the air as master and former student engage in a duel that's part lightsaber combat, part philosophical debate conducted through the Force. "You've fallen to the dark side." Mace growls through gritted teeth as their weapons lock again, bringing them face to face. "I can feel your anger, your hatred of this council." "No," Anakin replies, his voice surprisingly calm despite the intensity. "Of their duel? I don't hate you, Master Windu. I pity you. You've spent so long suppressing your humanity that you've forgotten what it feels like to truly care about something beyond your duty. The words strike deeper than any lightsaber could. Mace's technique wavers for just an instant, and Anakin exploits the opening to break free of the blade lock with a Force-enhanced backhand that sends the senior master reeling. But there are too many of them, and even Anakin's enhanced abilities can't overcome 12 of the galaxy's most skilled warriors simultaneously. Master Plo Koon's electric judgment crackles through the air, forcing Anakin to redirect his attention from Mace to deflect the stunning assault. In that moment of distraction, Shakti's blade nearly finds his ribs, stopped only by a desperate parry that leaves him overextended. Recognizing that he cannot win this fight through conventional means, Anakin reaches deep into the Force, drawing on reserves of power he didn't know he possessed. The air in the chamber suddenly becomes thick and charged, like the moments before a massive thunderstorm. Ancient artifacts on the chamber's walls begin to vibrate. Several of the council members pause, sensing something unprecedented building around them. With a sound like reality tearing, Anakin unleashes a massive force wave that sends every Jedi in the chamber flying backward into the walls. The ancient stone cracks under the impact, and several masters lose their grips on their weapons. In the chaos that follows, Anakin sprints toward the great window that overlooks Coruscant's endless cityscape. His lightsaber cuts through the transparent steel like it's made of paper, sending crystalline fragments cascading into the traffic lanes. Far below, without hesitation, he leaps into the void, trusting the Force to guide him to safety among the streaming lanes of speeders and air taxis. Behind him in the ruined chamber, the surviving council members slowly pick themselves up from the rubble-strewn floor. Ancient tapestries hang in tatters, meditation seats lie overturned and broken, and scorch marks from lightsaber strikes decorate walls that had remained unmarked for centuries. Begun, a civil war has, Yoda says quietly, his ancient voice heavy. With the weight of prophecy, the others turn to look at him, seeing in his expression a sadness that seems to encompass the accumulated sorrows of 9 centuries of life. Foresee it, I should have. Blind we have become to our own failings. Master Windu wipes a trickle of blood from his lip where Anakin's blow had connected. He's dangerous, Master Yoda. More powerful than we realized, and now completely beyond our control. We need to issue a galaxy-wide warrant for his arrest before he can spread his poison to other Jedi. But Yoda shakes his head slowly, his Geimer stick tapping against the broken stone with a sound like a funeral bell. Too late for that it is. Already begun, the damage has. Question our ways. Many Jedi will. Wonder if right, young Skywalker is. Prevent that we cannot. Through the shattered window, the distant sounds of Coruscant's traffic seem muffled, as if the city itself is holding its breath. The implications of what has just occurred will ripple outward like waves from a stone dropped in still water, touching every corner of the galaxy and changing everything they thought they knew about the Jedi Order. Within hours of his escape from the temple, Anakin makes his way through Coruscant's labyrinthine lower levels to a secure communication terminal he knows can't be monitored by Jedi surveillance systems. His message to Padma is brief but urgent. Meet me at our place. Everything has changed. We need to talk. Their secret apartment in the Republic of 500 building has served as their sanctuary throughout their hidden marriage. A place where Senator Amidala can become simply Padme, and the hero with no fear can remember what it feels like to be human. The penthouse suite, officially rented under one of Padme's security aliases, offers both privacy and a spectacular view of the galactic capital's endless towers. When she arrives, still wearing the formal robes of her senatorial office, her face is a mask of barely controlled worry. The Holonet news has been full of conflicting reports about an incident at the Jedi Temple, but official sources have released no details. The sight of Anakin, his Jedi robes torn and singed, his usually perfect hair disheveled, tells her everything she needs to know. They know, she says simply, setting down her senatorial seal on the apartment's dining table with hands that tremble slightly. About us. About the marriage. They had a recording, Anakin confirms, moving to the great window that looks out over Coruscant's glittering expanse. His reflection in the transparent steel shows a young man aged beyond his years by war and now by betrayal. Security footage from our wedding on Tatooine. They offered me exile, or... He pauses, his jaw tightening with remembered rage. Or they would erase your memories of our relationship. Padme's face goes pale, one hand instinctively moving to her throat as if she can feel invisible fingers already probing her mind. Memory modification? That's da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not therapy, that's mental rape. They would actually consider doing such a thing? They don't see you as a person, Anakin says bitterly, his mechanical hand clenching into a fist. To them, you're an infection to be cured, a liability to be managed. They've become so obsessed with their precious code that they've forgotten basic decency. She joins him at the window, her smaller hand finding his human one and intertwining their fingers. The gesture is simple, natural, yet by Jedi law it represents everything forbidden. What did you tell them? I told them no. Then I fought my way out of the temple. His voice carries a mixture of pride and sorrow. 12 of the Council's finest couldn't stop me when I was fighting for you, for us, for the right to feel something real in this galaxy of lies and manipulation. Padme is quiet for a long moment, processing the magnitude of what he's telling her. Her brilliant political mind is already analyzing the implications, understanding that this moment represents a fundamental shift. The aftermath of Palpatine's death unfolds across multiple timelines as the galaxy struggles to process the revelation that their trusted leader was the architect of their suffering. Emergency sessions convene in legislative bodies across hundreds of worlds, while military commanders grapple with the sudden absence of the authority structure that has defined their service. Senator Padme Amidala, working with a coalition of representatives from across the political spectrum, takes the lead in establishing interim governance structures designed to prevent any single individual from accumulating the kind of power Palpatine wielded. The constitutional reforms that emerge from their deliberations represent a fundamental shift toward distributed authority and democratic accountability. We cannot allow fear of chaos to drive us toward the same mistakes that enabled this crisis. She addresses the emergency Senate session convened to establish new governmental procedures. True security comes not from concentrating power in the hands of a few, but from ensuring that all voices can be heard and all interests can be represented. The Jedi Order itself undergoes equally fundamental changes as representatives from both factions work to establish new codes of conduct and training procedures that incorporate lessons learned from their civil war. The rigid hierarchy and dogmatic adherence to ancient rules that characterize the traditional order gives way to a more flexible structure that encourages questioning and adaptation. Master Yoda's ancient wisdom enriched by the painful lessons of recent conflict speaks to assembled Jedi with humility that comes from confronting his own fallibility. Learned much we have about the dangers of certainty? Strong in the Force? We may be, but wise enough to question our own assumptions? We must become. The new Jedi Code that emerges from their deliberations reflects this philosophy of growth and adaptation. Motion, yet peace. Ignorance, yet knowledge. Passion, yet serenity. Chaos, yet harmony. Death, yet the Force. But acknowledges that Jedi are beings with feelings and attachments, while calling them to channel these aspects of themselves in service to others. Anakin and Ahsoka established their training academy on Naboo as originally planned. But now it serves as a model for Jedi education that emphasizes community engagement and practical service rather than monastic isolation. Young Force sensitives learn not just combat techniques and meditation practices, but also skills needed to serve as healers, teachers, and community leaders. The Force doesn't belong to us, Anakin explains to a gathering of prospective students and their families. His marriage to Padme, having become a symbol of the New Order's acceptance of attachment and emotional connection. We're temporary custodians of abilities that should serve everyone, not just those with lightsabers and formal training. The integration of clone troopers into civilian society becomes one of the new Republic's greatest challenges and most significant achievements. Medical advances that halt their accelerated aging process are combined with educational programs that help them develop skills beyond military service, while legal reforms grant them full citizenship rights and recognition as individuals rather than property. Captain Rex's appointment to the Senate as the first clone representative marks a symbolic transformation in how the Republic views the relationship between created beings and their creators. His inaugural speech, delivered in the same chamber where Palpatine's regime fell, emphasizes the importance of choice over programming and defining individual identity. "We were made to serve," he tells the assembled senators, his voice carrying the authority of someone who has earned the right to speak for his people. But service without choice is just another form of slavery. The Republic we helped preserve must be worthy of the sacrifices made in its name. The Separatist Confederacy, deprived of Sith leadership and facing a reunified Republic committed to addressing legitimate grievances, gradually negotiates peace agreements that transform the nature of galactic governance, rather than simple military conquest. The conflict's resolution involves fundamental reforms that address corporate influence, regional representation, and economic inequality. Count Dooku, captured during the final assault on a Confederate stronghold, undergoes a trial that becomes a model for transitional justice in the post-war galaxy. Rather than execution or simple imprisonment, he is required to make amends through testimony about Sith manipulation and public service designed to repair damage caused by the conflict. "I was a fool," he admits during his testimony before Joint Commission investigating war crimes and systematic deception. "Palpatine offered me power and the chance to remake the galaxy according to my vision of justice. I thought I was serving the greater good, but I was only serving his ambition and my own pride." The reconstruction efforts that follow focus not just on rebuilding destroyed infrastructure, but on creating new institutions designed to prevent future conflicts through improved communication, representation, and conflict resolution mechanisms. Trade disputes are resolved through arbitration rather than warfare, while regional grievances are addressed through expanded autonomy and resource sharing. Years later, when historians analyze the period known as the Jedi Civil War, they identify it not as a failure of democratic institutions, but as a necessary crisis that revealed hidden weaknesses and forced beneficial reforms. The recognition that even the most venerated organizations can become corrupt, that even the wisest leaders can fall prey to manipulation, becomes a cornerstone of civic education throughout the transformed Republic. Children growing up in this reformed galaxy learn that questioning authority is not treachery, but civic responsibility. That loyalty to principles matters more than loyalty to institutions. That the price of freedom is eternal vigilance against those who would exploit good intentions for evil purposes. The Jedi who serve these communities are not distant guardians, but neighbors and friends. Their wisdom earned through shared struggle rather than inherited tradition. Obi-Wan and Anakin's partnership in establishing the new temple on Coruscant becomes a symbol of how former enemies can become stronger through reconciliation and mutual respect. Their friendship, tested by civil war and nearly broken by manipulation, emerges more resilient for having survived those trials. "We almost lost everything," Obi-Wan reflects, as they watch young Padawans training in techniques that blend traditional forms with innovative approaches developed during the conflict. "Our pride, our certainty that we knew what was best, it nearly destroyed us all." "But it didn't," Anakin replies, his arm around Padma, as they observe their own children playing among other younglings, no longer forced to hide their family bonds. "We learn that strength comes not from rigid adherence to rules, but from the wisdom to adapt when circumstances change. The order that emerges from this crisis will be better than the one that entered it. The galaxy that emerges from the Jedi Civil War is not perfect, but it is more just, more representative, and more resilient than what came before. The institutions that govern it have been tested by crisis and reformed through struggle, while the beings who serve them have learned the value of humility, adaptation, and cooperation in the face of challenges that no single group can overcome alone. And perhaps most importantly, the young people who will inherit this galaxy have learned that change is possible, that corruption can be challenged, that even the most powerful institutions can be reformed when enough people commit themselves to justice and democratic values. The legacy of Anakin Skywalker's rebellion is not destruction, but transformation. Not the ending of old ways, but the beginning of something better. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.